Hello, everyone. I hope everybody's having an okay day. Uh, Hello, Slots enthusiasts. It's great to hang out with you for another Professor Slots podcast episode and live stream. This Q&A session is every Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time here at John Friedel, Professor Slots YouTube channel. If you are here live, it's great to have you here as well. I love hanging out with you guys and talking about slots-related topics. So if you would ring out if you have good sound and good video, I think I'm getting better. I know I am getting better at this. So, hi Denise, always good to see you. Lives in Texas, plays in Oklahoma. Lois and Dave, excellent. My dad there yet? Hey, Steve. Yeah, be sure to say hello. Tell us your state so that I'm beginning to know all your names and all your locations and all your tags on Facebook, all your alternate names, and I'll try to keep up with that as best I can. But in the meantime, say hello. Thanks, Steve. Say hello. Tell us what state you're in, and we will get started. Right. So, what a long week it's been. Last week we talked about the coronavirus, and it seemed as though it was a bit early. It seems like we're in the thick of it now, or maybe next weekend will be the thick of it. Just last night, Friday, at midnight, things got turned on. National emergencies yesterday. So for those of you who are in the future, the far future, even tomorrow, much less years from now, we are going through the coronavirus pandemic. And it's really only just getting started. Within the last 24 hours, looks like some states have begun to assign, put out prohibitions on meeting. More than 100 people. That's what's going on in Ohio. I don't entirely know every state. It's just so hard to keep up. But I do happen to know my own grocery store is a little bit bare for some reason, especially the toilet paper. It's like a joke on Facebook. In any case, I wanted to get together with you guys and just briefly talk about what a crazy week it's been. And to also let you know plenty of other things. So let's just sort of jump into this. Hi, Jan. So the point of what I'm trying to do with this particular Q&A session is check in with you guys to see if you're okay. I hope that you're healthy. There's not much I can do about that. But a lot of people are not going to casinos. We're right on the cusp of, is it a good time to go, or has it become, because casinos are still even still open, or is it a bad time to go because casinos might be closed or soon, and they might still be struggling to make some money. So Belterra Park in Cincinnati, just outside the actual town, on the Ohio River, they have a racetrack and slot machines. Again, in Ohio, they have closed as of this morning. I believe it was actually midnight last night, or is it? Yeah, I think it's midnight last night. And that's because the governor of Ohio said no more groups of people of 100 or more. So the governor didn't tell the casino to close. The casino said, putting all the lights, basically, you can sort of figure this out. Basically, all those lights on and all those people working for only 100 people at any one time in the casino, and how do we even enforce that? They closed. I would say to save money. Now, so you may be there. You may not ever get there. I suspect there's going to be quite a bit of this. But let's keep things kind of hopeful. Please, but before I move, I don't know that would ever actually get past the coronavirus discussion this time, which is fine. But I do want to talk about some other things. Because the point I want to make with this particular Q&A session is, we talked over the coronavirus last time, and let's talk about get updated as we said we would last time, see how things are going, because it's just every day something new. But this one is for, where's the advantage? right? You can't, if you cannot go to a casino now or soon, I suppose, uh, you know, join us online. That's what I want to say. Every Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, uh, come online. No big crowds necessary. It's just all virtual. So, you know, keep your casino slots hobby attention going by being online. So welcome everybody. Now, one of the things I've learned to try to help everybody who's already here, if you would subscribe to this channel, if you would like this video, we will actually in the next few minutes draw in quite a few people as YouTube notices that. And sees that, and we'll get something of a crowd coming in, and hopefully it's good for you, because they sometimes have really good, besides the regulars, we have some pretty good questions coming from everybody, and they talk about places that we haven't been, and it's always good to hear about these things. So if you would like and subscribe anytime in the video. It'll make all videos sort of be more prominent and be more available with people, and the next time will grow. But if you do it right now, the way that YouTube works, it'll draw people in as for the next hour, next 55 minutes, it'll draw people in. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about there. And if you have questions, please let me know. Just check your local news, keep up with what's going on in your area with your casino, and just sort of to stay on that topic a bit longer. Last time we talked about the advantage as casinos struggled, but was still trying to pull in crowds, and some places have closed, and some people have gotten more concerned about staying home and self-quarantine, I guess you would call it. I'm not sure it's entirely quarantine so much as staying away from groups of 100 people or more or less. But they would, these are people who aren't sick. This is just people who say, well, I'll stay away from the big crowds. And casinos are opposing that point of view. We're opposing that view. We'll legally try to oppose that view because their only route forward to kind of get through this. This is going to be a terrible financial year for all the casinos. We don't know yet how many days some might be closed, or in China and Macau it was 15 days out, and then they lost, what was it, 80. They had 12% income for February versus 100% the year before. So no matter what, that's going to make it a terrible year. But it could be worse if casinos don't do everything they can to try to have some income. And so it was interesting to see how some casinos handled this by just having a flood of mail flyers. It takes a couple of days to get those together, and then get them out. It takes a day to deliver them, and days count. So we saw this big flood that was probably put in the mail or sent to a printer, 3-5 days before that. With all these rapid changes, a week and a half ago, a week ago Thursday, they ordered these. They sent them out maybe 3 days later, maybe Saturday, got them in the mail so that people would start receiving them on Monday. And that was what we saw when everybody reported back on the Facebook groups I have for each state. Kind of a lot of people were getting mail flyers, but at what point, so think about it. 3 days ago, they would be sending out, ordering more mail flyers because they saw how well this was working, and put them in the mail today, get them Monday. So what you're going to get on Monday. If you see anything by that and you say, well, that's not very responsible, or they might even come out, you get them in the mail and you might say, but you're closed. How could you not know that? It's because there's like a 3-day delay. They might even send out an email saying, that's instant, that they're closed, and you might have a mail flyer that look at what the heck, I could go, and I got this yesterday, even today. So just be considerate that there's a longer delay in mail flyers than there is by an instant email, and with all the changes taking place, you may get those notifications. So I guess you could check their website. That's another quick way to get the information. You have a mail flyer and you want to know if the casino's open, go to the website. They should post something, large across the screen if they're not open. And that's just, for your convenience. If you feel you want to go, that's up to you. You do what you think is best for you and your family and the community. No judgment. Well, I haven't heard anything that I want to judge just yet. Okay, so I had an interesting trip to Pennsylvania. And while I have reviewed the Rivers, one of like 3 casinos in a chain in different states. I think one of them is actually called Sugar House, and there's another one in Chicago, or Illinois rather, Rivers. And this one in Pittsburgh, they have the same Players Club program. I reviewed that my last trip to that area for my day job, June, I think it was last year, Rivers in Pittsburgh. And I didn't go there again because all this is going on, and besides which I had only reviewed it a year ago. But it was, I was thinking about going to Meadowlands. It's a little further away, but, running over there in the evening. But again, with the situation, I thought better not, and best not. And, but I have a 5-hour drive. I have a 5-hour drive there and a 5-hour drive back. And I might spend most of that time thinking about the business. And I wanted to let you know of a few things. So, as you may have noticed, I'm getting better. As you probably noticed, 2 years ago, I got better from my first podcast episode to my second podcast episode. It was so much more improved. And you can expect that sort of thing, and that sort of thing has happened. But you're going to start seeing some more growth. Not just people, as more people show up. It's great to see 16 people here right now. Hello. And I appreciate all the likes very much. So that's part of the reason why we have the 16 people. So, like and subscribe, and we will, YouTube will push more people towards us, and that's what we're looking to do here. If you can't, and as I mentioned earlier to everybody who's here now, if you don't feel comfortable going to the casino, if your casino happens to be closed, as they're starting to do here in Ohio, come online, we'll crowd together online and talk about our, favorite hobby, playing slots and some stuff to do with that. But everybody has been very supportive of my starting this. Well, eventually will be a business. I haven't tried to make much money, as I've mentioned to people's shock before. 70% of what $16 book on Amazon, 70% is taken by Amazon. So I'm not making. When I say I'm not making money, I'm saying I'm not making money. For a couple of years now, because I'm trying to help. And one of the things I'm going to do is move to having paid products. And these are meant to be things that you probably wished you had a year ago. And so I'm trying to put this stuff together. Yeah, great, everybody. Tell us which casinos, we probably know the names, like Philadelphia Harrah's is closed. Share what casinos are closed, because we have plenty of people who are very interested in knowing if a state's casino has or has not closed. So please continue, share. P-Ball makes an excellent point. I know brick and mortar casinos. I know about traffic flow. I know about their number of people being, physically handling money and handing out cash. And I know that a casino has business practices that involve people and parking lot spaces and all these physical portions of the casino, how long it takes to get a jackpot paid. And none of those things are on online casinos. And other people have been asking me, so what do you think the long-term effect is going to be? And I think it won't be a lot of people go to online casinos, because have you ever played golf? And then have you ever played a golf game? People get in trouble thinking it's the same thing. So going to a casino, you know, what? It includes food. It includes persuasion. It includes, people meeting and learning from one another. It includes so many things that are just not available on online slots. So, thanks, Mark. Um, uh, there's so many things that we can take advantage of in a brick and mortar casino. So I hope that this doesn't drive people to online casinos. I don't care for them. Uh, it's all cleaned up, and life is in the mess. If that makes sense, that's where the advantages are. So, and things like protections, even a lot of states are prohibited from going to those websites. I'm not quite sure. It must be the state that's doing that, but it's not so obvious. And so I don't think we're going to see a lot of people pushing towards online casinos. On the other hand, how do we know? The U.S. The state gaming regulations are pretty light, and how do we even know that had happened? Because there's no return statistics. There's none of that. Um, uh, Everybody, tell us which ones. Seminole Brighton in Florida, just 2 hours south of Orlando, is open for now. Yeah, I'll check again. We'll check again next week, and because I've turned off. I've tried to give you some privacy, and we have live chat for those who are not with us live. Those later in the podcast, who will hear this in the podcast later, and who will hear some of the time with the video on YouTube. You can't see the live chat. I've turned that off. So, guys, those of you that here are talking, you're protected. It's private. I might say something like, "Oh, Valley Forge closed." Thanks, Mark. But if you want to tell us what you know now, I will mention a few of them. But everybody else can see it who's live, and I'll mention a few of them so that we get the word out. But next week, I'll ask you the same. I'll say, are your casinos closed? I'm not sure if that would be the best thing, or in a week, ask you if the casino was open, and then everybody will be silent. But in any case, I'm wondering what the long-term responses will be to this whole thing, and I don't see too much that would happen. We might have a turn towards online casinos if more states had access to it. It's not the same experience, so I doubt it will go. You might get people who who are actually staying home a lot and not going out, getting online. So you might get some people to try online casinos who just otherwise would be out and about. So it might go up, but I don't think it's so hard to pull somebody from what they like to something they just haven't done. Like a lot of the thoughts going through my head today are having to do with having a business, casinos having business, states having business, my grocery store, but also my business. And it's interesting, when I work with somebody on Twitter and I work with somebody on Facebook, and I say, well, it'd be so much easier if you came over to the Facebook groups on Twitter or on Facebook from Twitter. And they're like, no, I'm a Twitter person. So getting people to move something that fundamental from going to a brick and mortar casino to online slots, I just don't see that as being at all easy. But you might get more people on online slots because they're going to start up doing something. In any case, take this opportunity. I would hope you take this opportunity to watch more on YouTube. Maybe read more of my articles or whose ever articles. There may be somebody out there, like a nice compliment I got from somebody. If you play cards, you probably heard of Wizard of Odds. He's the guy that does the math on all the games, including the new games, and you can find a lot of good information on his website for many years about many different card games to understand what the odds are between different hands, which you would need to know if you're going to play cards, so you understand when you have the best odds and which one you should play for perfect play. That's table game stuff that we don't talk about here too much because that's lots. And somebody who is like you, who have looked everywhere, Googled everywhere, perhaps far more than me. I wasn't interested in. All right, thank you, Carrie. Um, uh, I'm trying to build my own business. I'm not trying to. It's too strong a word to say steal from other people, but I don't really see a lot of competitors. And when this is going to sound arrogant, I'm sorry, but when you're the leader, you don't always spend a lot of time looking back. So there you look online, but I've got 75 articles. If you're interested in every state, that's another 52, so that's 127, and some reviews, some history, some, uh, uh, various things. I am going to put in my main website because a lot of people are kind of new here, and that's the what happened was I, got this call from conversations and consultations and all the things that I'm doing now that'll quickly be expanding. Uh, they were on Facebook, on, I don't know, Minnesota Slots Community, Facebook, professorslots.com/FB MN is the shortcut I've made to make it all very short and easy to explain. It'll take you right to Facebook. And they were like, so you do anything else? And I'm like, yeah, I do the other states. And they're like, oh, well, I only need Minnesota. I said, well, there's the Facebook, or there's the website. And they're like, there's a website? Yeah, there's a bunch of articles there. And then there's the podcast. Do you have a podcast? Yeah. And I go Saturdays I go live at 2 p.m. And he's like, what? So, some people, while, I can't get people to go from Twitter to Facebook and, they just like what they like. That's actually why I put all this together. Book on Amazon. Some people only look for the book on Amazon. Some people only look for the audio book on Amazon, which is why I got to finish it soon. And, well, not soon, another month at least. It's 30 hours. I think I'm down to like 25 at this point. So, we can't go to casinos, or we are about to not be able to go to casinos, or it's not wise to go to casinos, or any one of those and more. I got a bunch of stuff on my website, professorslots.com. Feel free to visit. And then if you like to listen to the podcast, all those articles have podcast versions. The last 12 episodes or so have been, I've basically put in the live audio and then put in some other stuff at the beginning, at the end, that wasn't live. And LSU, you are in Louisiana, so you are talking about Louisiana State University, okay? I always get confused by LA for Louisiana or LA for Los Angeles. LSU students cancels classes for spring semester, except starting March 30th as online classes. Yeah, these details share with everybody. I've been doing my own looking around for Ohio universities. Sometimes I'm adjunct at the University of Cincinnati, but not this time of year, and more of a fall thing. All right, Doug. We missed you, Doug. We told you, Doug just joined, and Doug, we talked about miracles and how to win 100% of the time. No, wait, it didn't happen. Sorry, Doug. Welcome. Okay, so don't want to start teasing people too badly. So I look around at that, and I say, okay, classes are canceled. Can they live in the dorms? These little details about universities, because I've had so many students and been a student for so long myself. I just wonder, because, there's been times in my life going to school, where, living on campus or just off campus going, okay, so you want me to leave the town? What? Okay. I worry about the youngsters. Okay. Hi, John. Hi, Carrie. Kansas City Star. Yep. Excellent. So one of the things I wanted to move to, and I think I'm going to try to move away from coronavirus pandemic, and I'm sure I'll get drawn back by another thought or another comment, but I'm going to edge away a couple of times here as we go through this. And one of the things I wanted to tell you about is how exciting my business is getting. All right, I'm going to be providing more and more stuff for you guys because I've found, a little bit of consulting that I've been able to do in the last month, which is like record income for me. Doesn't quite meet my bills for the month, but then I haven't met my bills for the month for 2, 3 years. But it was a big jump, and might even have the extra cheese on the sandwich next week for lunch. But it's far more than, being able to fill my tank more easily. Uh, Far more than that, it's been very encouraging. And I've got a fire lit under me. Hopefully, it's not a fever. See, I got jokes. I'm sorry. But so I'm pretty excited about some of the stuff that I've been wanting to do. So the basic idea here is that in December, for 2 years, I grew my email list. And in November last year, I said to myself, if I can get to 2,000 email subscribers, if I can get to 2,000, if I cannot get to 2,000 email subscribers, I won't have a business. And then I'll try something else, I guess, whatever. But I did. I saw in November that I would be hitting 2,000 email subscribers after building up everything from scratch for a little while, for a couple of years. That in mid-January I'd hit 2,000, and I thought, and in November I'm like, oh, it's working. I mean, I don't know that I will have a business at 2,000 email subscribers, but if I can't get to it, I won't. And if I can get to it, I might. So what was I going to do these last couple of years once I got to 2,000 email subscribers? Oh, that's right. I was going to turn on revenue streams. I was going to start offering things that you want me to give you. Up to then, I had the book, and I had a few other things that I could offer, but I encourage people not to do it, like the ProfessorSlots.com, and I'll put this in as well. I'm not trying to advertise to you. I'm just trying to make you aware that if you start seeing me talking about offering things for money, it should not be a surprise for you. That's one of the warnings that I heard from the books that I read, that if you don't tell people well in advance that it's coming, something is coming, then when it does come, you have to go through this hard transition of, but I thought everything you did was free. And up till now, everything has been free, but that's not the long term. Thanks, Greener Pastures. I have not heard from it's not Horseshoe anymore, so it's not Caesars. I think they're owned by Hard Rock now in Cincinnati, but I haven't been by most recently to see if the signs have gone up. It was a Jack from the Detroit guy, but I haven't heard it. They haven't sent me an email that they're, that might be it. They've been switching owners so quickly that I might not be a member of the Royalty Club at the moment. I didn't check the website. Anyway, I'm sure you're all thinking that as well. What casinos you might not be open, and are you on their Players Club to even be on the email list? Anyway, I've been very encouraged lately by a few sales and the help that I've provided them, and I realized there is, what's my approach? Again, this is not about me. This is about you. What is my approach to really lay down the process of how to win? I don't not share anything. This is how this works. I've got 81. Tomorrow will be 82 podcast episodes. Each one, an hour long, maybe more. Feel free to listen to 80 hours and take a lot of notes and figure out how to win from that. Go to it. It's all there. But I haven't answered your questions, so that's consulting. Your special circumstances. I've tried to, if I knew what they were, I would, but I don't. So I'm just trying to be, in general, answering questions. But that's not even the main thing I want to do. That's what I offer now. But the main thing is consultations. But the thing I want to do now and get ready for is an online course where I just lay it all down. You know, it's not exactly an online course. It's going to be something where week by week, and I haven't decided whether or not it's just going to be say everything succinctly in a recording and then talk with you, or if it's going to be say everything in a recording and don't talk with you. But I want to lay it all out for you and follow up with you, and that product, that could it will take all the free stuff, and people don't do a lot with free stuff. This is what I'm learning, and sell it to you, and it should get you. Yeah, people, that was a great thing. Can I use that? That's awesome. I am trying to get monetized, People says, so I can help you get monetized. Good Lord, I gotta write that one down. That was just too good. Thank you, people. Sorry, no discount. But all right, so one of the biggest parts of all this, of course, is the marketing and just working through it. So I had to decide and how to get you monetized was which approach do I take, because there's so much of this, hey, for a free something that I don't share anywhere else, there would be a Patreon step where you would pay $5 a month or something. And then I would have to if I did that, I would have to not make that free. And I really want to make this stuff free. I'm just like, it kind of conflicts with the way that I want to run the business. And then there's memberships, there's subscriptions, there's of other types like that. There's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I was thinking about writing a book, a state-by-state book, like my state-by-state articles, but I see, a limited number of people going to each one. If I write something that matters to every state, then it's 56, 57 times larger, 50 times larger, the people who look at it, because you might own, the people in Kansas might be interested in Kansas, and it's roughly 50, times smaller than all the others. And so I just don't see people wanting to buy a book where they only read one chapter, the chapter on their state. So I look at this stuff and I say, I don't know that I'm helping enough by doing that. And at the middle of January this year, only 2 months ago, I put together the list of the 10 different things I wanted to do. And I was telling myself, okay, one per month. And by in a year, I'll have all these little things for you. And I don't think that's the right thing to do. Some of it, yes, the consultations, put that together first, basically, for a month, middle of January, middle of February, figured out all the things I wanted to do. From the middle of February to the middle of March, I got the consulting, rocking pretty good. And I looked at that and I said, it's going to just exhaust me, and I'm not going to be able to make you more stuff if I'm busy doing the stuff I already offer. I realize I'm going on too long here. I want to do everything. I always want to do everything, every degree that would help. That's my go-to method. So here I am going to focus. I am not going to be doing 10 things. I'm going to be getting the audiobook out, because once it's out, like the book was, and finish those things, those little projects, have consultations, but it wouldn't be necessarily, saying, okay, read the book, then come to the consultation, or just come to the consultation and I'll explain everything from scratch. I want to be able to give you a 6-week course and just put it all out there, this, and, follow up with individuals who want me to help them go from there. And, oh, yeah. See, you may say that what I'm explaining here is, and you have to sort of know the YouTube ecosystem. There's a lot of the slots people out there who are getting what's called strikes against them, and it won't get less. I'm sorry. I'm afraid that's all temporary, more or less. What are you doing showing other people's property? Casinos, private property. If you have an agreement with the casino, then you can show their stuff. But they rent slot machines, and that's not their stuff. And so these videos are of slot machines. They don't have an agreement with the slot machine manufacturer to show on YouTube. And yeah, sure, nobody cares until somebody cares. And yeah, I am trying to do a business, which isn't short term. I don't want things to go badly for those people. I want them to go well. I don't have a solution. It's a tough spot. They're showing stuff that's copyright protected, and that means copyright infringement is in their future. I don't wish bad for them, but it's obvious. And well, it wasn't what I wanted to do, but it was also something I saw that I wouldn't even try to do. So, last person standing. It's already starting. But, they could have a good run for 10 years. It's already been 3, right? Maybe might be fine. So, how long will it take me to do an online course? It will take me a while to do an online course because I want it to, 8 works of effort. I want it to be fine. What I am going to do, the plan that I figured out my long drive to and from Pennsylvania, it wasn't just the books I was reading, audiobooks I was listening to at the time, but all the 15, 30, 40 books I read before that, they all started making sense, which is kind of how I am for me. I sat there in a casino winning money on one day, losing money the next day, and I just, when I got started with this, or I came back to it after 10 years, from 2004 to 2014, and it took a fire hose, for me to go, hang on, after I've been fed with the fire hose for quite some time, I started figuring it out. So I've read a lot of audiobooks about how to have a business, how to give you what you need, make you a satisfied customer, give you exactly what you need and make you satisfied with that. And because it's what you want. And now it's all pretty clear, just like it was with winning at slots. Once I was submerged in it for quite a while. So I will be offering an online course. It is not ready. When it is ready, and I'll just put my spare time into it, much of my spare time into it, and then the first one I won't sell. The first time I offer it, it will be free, but it will be a limited number of people. So when I roll that out, we'll have some way, and it won't be a lot of people, but I'll bring it up later, and we will, if you're interested, the idea here is I'm going to get as much from it as you are. I'm going to fix it based on your evaluation of that free course. And that is what I'm working to get together. After I have that, it'll always be slightly improved, particularly as the times change from year to year, month to month. And, we see new technology or somebody starts doing something and we'll update that. But the plan is for it to be a 6-week course. Basically, 6-week course. And rather than, these are all these just details and no reason to get into them. Things like whether or not I'll show you a video or just or do something else, whatever actually works out based on the response from the first. It's called a beta group, and when that's ready, I'll let you know, and that'll be a main thing for me. Okay, I'm gonna flip through the chat. It's wonderful to see all this chat. If you've not been here for long, please, indicate In the last 40 minutes, I've asked for people to put in their state, and I've also asked people to put in what casinos they know of in their state, or the states that they visit have closed. So be interested. I think we're all interested in that, and I think next time, a week from now, we will see what else is going on. And again, this is only for you. Unless I speak it and it comes out of my mouth, nobody can see this live chat because it's only in the live session and it isn't available afterwards. I turned that feature off. So if you, and those of you who are currently listening later on the podcast, those of you who are watching the video later on YouTube, the live session has a little something extra for you. So feel free to jump in next time. So, yeah, and thank you for, it's evident that everybody has, helped pull more people in by their likes and their subscribes. So thank you for that. Wise Virgin Richard says Philadelphia Harrah's closed down. I don't know for how long. People also, Pedro from Louisiana, schools out, sporting events canceled. Yep, you must be in local sporting events. I think a lot of the national stuff is gone. But casinos still open for slots. All right. That's the ones here would be, but they chose not to. I think they made a financial decision. Okay. Let's see. Boband, Utah. Pedro, online stocks like Teladoc something. Oh, sure. Yes, it's not online stocks. There's our companies that have ability to have online meetings, and Skype for business and other things that I use several times a day at my day job. And he says online gaming should try to take advantage and promote and legalize these companies and get online gaming legalized. Then they'd be great during pandemics. They might have to look into being great when there isn't a pandemic for long-term growth. Denise, WinStar has closed special events. That's an interesting feature, but the casino has not closed. So that way they've gotten rid of the many people that would be together in a dinner or dance or something, but you can still be spaced. That's interesting. I was watching one of the things on the news, one of the live events, and they talked about the reporters need to sit a little further apart, maybe an empty seat between them. Casinos are actually spread out pretty far. It's not like you're in a theater where you're touching elbows, maybe. And what if casinos were take out every other chair? I mean, they don't have a lot of storage space in casinos. They want to make it so you put a slot machine there. But it would be interesting if they took out every other chair. I don't know how practical it would be, though. Let's see. Casino holds at capacity 25,000 people. Don't understand just closing concerts. It's the requirement that, like, for instance, Ohio said no more than 100 people. And I don't even know if I can go to work on Monday. I'm in a small building in the main area. Is Terry on? Terry, you on? The main building, I don't go to the main plant very often, and they have those large numbers, but not where I work. So I have to see I check the emails before I go to work on Monday. So just closing the concerts, if the state came out with a rule, or the corporation came out with a rule that you can't have more than 100 people per section, or then it might be legal. Thanks, Mark. Brighton open for now. Yep, thank you, Lois and Dave. LSU students classes closed. Yeah, we talked about that. Doug, good. Carrie, hello. Pedro, March Madness. Now that's going to get people riled up. March Madness. Are we going to have one? I don't believe we are. Yep. Yeah, the games are canceled for March Madness. How about that? Interesting times that we live in. Um, you know, we talk a lot about sports figures making a lot of money, right? But only the stars make a lot of money. I mean, it's probably a lot of money to not be a star relative to the way I live my life. But those people who are paid big bucks, that comes from advertising. That comes from ticket sales. That comes from, uh, people showing up at games. I think those athletes, I think all those athletes are carefully looking at the fine print of their contracts, looking, get a digital version and scan pandemic, scan for the word pandemic and see how much they get paid then. Otherwise, it's just coming out of the coffers. It's just coming out of the saved money from the sports organizations and owners and other places. We've talked about that with regards to casinos. Casinos, how much money do they have saved away to keep the lights on when no one's there? 1 week? 2 weeks? 3 weeks? Yeah. And then then we wonder, will people forget? If I'm going to make another joke. If people forget about slots after a couple of weeks, nah. But if people forget about slots for a couple of weeks, or some significant fraction of them, when they open, will it not be a strong experience? Or, I think more likely, it's just going to be a rush. Everybody's going to want to go back in quick, unless, the pandemic is slow to turn around, in which case it might get a trickle back and a trickle back. Stock market bounced back really fast, right? Or at least kind of did. Don't know if it's bounced back fully. Right. Pedro. that emoticon. Is that little dollar signs in the eye? Wow. Oh, must be on an Android. No, I'm picking fights. Yep. Richard, many YouTube monetized slots channels are getting strikes. We talked about that. Yeah, that's right. So Richard and I think it's Chris, Greener Pastures, are talking about how monetized slot channels, and it can just be advertising, whatever, are getting strikes. And Chris asked for what, and Richard said there's no explanation. There are the usual explanations. First off, if you have a channel, you get informed. Not everybody gets informed. You get informed. And sometimes outsiders who don't own that channel can tell something happened, but it's a little hard to tell, well, why. There is no explanation. The only people that get the explanation, are people who own the channel. And if they don't share, then you don't know. But their strikes are only given for certain reasons. Now, I talked about advertising, copyright infringement, either music or visual. I talked about that, but recently there's been, it doesn't really apply to us, but there's details there, which is if you present to children, then you, and your topic is inappropriate according to the new rules for children. And I don't think anybody's doing this. I don't think anybody's doing this deliberately. I think some people just sort of miss the whole thing. I don't do anything about kids. I don't have to do anything to make sure, I'm good to go. It's nothing to do with me. Never has been, etc. But you actually need to tell YouTube that you don't do that. And if you miss that step, hi, Dad. If you miss that step on, telling people that that's in fact you don't do that, and if you ignore that, then you could have a blip. So there's a few things about the rules of YouTube that I try to keep forward. Now, Dave, probably Dave, just told me my dad is now watching. Dad, Dave just told me that you showed up. That's how I know that you're there. I don't see you. Dave put a little chat thing into the message. So it's over there on the side. I'm going to circle it with my mouse. Actually, I don't think I can do that. In any case, my father has been teased by his my father's friend about how do I just know he shows up, and Dave's doing it to you, Dad. Okay, Richard. Ever since YouTube started cracking down, see right there, non-child content. Yep, guessed it right. Chris, many YouTubers are going to Brighton, Dive, DLive, etc. Yeah. There's some other places you can go for YouTube and I don't tell you all about the intricacies of Facebook. We're live on Facebook right now. Yeah, you can do a couple at the same time. Don't try to do Twitch and some of the others. I don't mean to go on about the technology and how to have a business, but yeah, there's some others. Doug, Missouri. Yeah. Wait, Missouri. Show me state? Dean. Hey, welcome, Dean. So Las Vegas businesses are very nervous. Yeah, I've seen some, there's a lot of misinformation out there. I saw something on Twitter. They showed downtown and it was pretty dim. Can you imagine the Strip dim? And somebody was like, well, it's all closed. And it was such misinformation. It was just trying to get hits or retweets or something. And people were in the casinos, showing people from the inside the casino. So, well, there's not a lot of people here, but there's people here. So, just be aware of shock value, untrue information. If you hear it from the website, if you hear it from the state, if you hear it on maybe local news, they might verify things. But if you hear it from a tweet somebody had, yeah. I'm getting directly sent a few odd requests that I have had to respond by saying, this is not the zombie apocalypse. I am not bringing my weapons anywhere like that. I'm not even going to be joining a lot of crowds as much as you want me to do that. So... And the worst thing about that, of course, is family. Carrie, I need to go back to reading your book again. My winnings at Kansas City Star in Wichita this year have not been good. One of the things that can happen, that's Kansas City Star Tribal Casino, I think, business practices change. I've talked about here about... See, there's this group is interesting. Mostly, you're interested in trying to better understand what you've been doing, right? There are another group, and it may be far larger, but I'm not pulling them in, which is like, just tell me how to win. Come on, just tell me how to win. Why are you talking? Just tell me how to win. and I'm not really suited for that kind of audience, but if I can help them, I should figure out a way to speak to them. Instead of just logic and convincing or something. And I want to try to do that. You can, over time a casino will change. And if you, and it's really hard. It's really hard to figure out the new way. I go to casino after casino after casino doing reviews and figuring out what they're doing, and I found more and more of these casino business practices that would happen at only one of those places, and that's how I've gotten better. And if you and I had a real struggle because that first casino I was winning at on 2 slot machines. Why would I ever go anywhere else when I knew I could win there, right? And so that's more of the boat that you guys are in, right? I'm trying to build a business. I'm trying to learn, trying to deliberately not win a little there so I can learn more and give it to you free. Something's wrong with that logic. But anyway, and I'll do that for a few years. And so, but if you find something, you stick with it for a year or 6 months. And then it changes, and maybe and you don't have the practice that I've been maintaining. So, well, reread the book, look at everything again, reassess. Particularly if it's and you sometimes when the casino has been purchased. You just go, well, it's different owners now. They may be doing something else. You got to figure it out again. So that I think I'll always be valuable because everything will be changing. It might be a new technology or something. But even so, the businesses will say, do an analysis and maybe have a new manager. It's hard to tell what drives the changes. They want to just do better. So, reorg, new hierarchy, whatever. So yeah, read the book again, reevaluate Kansas City Star, see what's new. This could be as simple as a renovation from a non-central server controlling the slots to having a central server. But we're kind of through that. The only ones that almost the only ones that don't have that are the, as I mentioned, the riverboats where they can't put cables underneath because it's water, it's a hull. Okay, Pablo, if there was a way for you to profile the casino as we are at now, while we are there at the time, maybe hidden cameras. Let's see, maybe is there a way for you to profile the casino we are at now? Yes, I do that with the consulting group. Yeah, and it's not that hard. It's not that hard. And yeah, it's not really a hidden camera so much as a phone with a camera, and you're kind of talking to people by pushing the button, and you're kind of doing that, or whatever they feel comfortable doing. No reason for it to be hidden if they hide what they're doing. And the earbud. So it doesn't even have to be live. Just send me the pictures, and I'll tell them what to take pictures of, and general areas and entrances and other stuff, and just tell them look for that, and I'll review it, and send it back with things circled. Take advantage of my ability to read a casino. Now it's not as perfect as my being there because I can hear, right? I can hear kind of what's going on over there, and I can sort of maybe see things that jump out at me. But as far as my not having to get in a plane, that's pretty good. Do a lot more of that. Yeah. I haven't actually sat down. Now, see, I was going away from that. I was like, it's just really simple to do this, and I'll do my thing, and then da 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 da. And you're just like, well, if you've got the special equipment from Q, and turn me into a James Bondish. I don't know how much I like Bondish. Comment there, but yeah, you're spot on. You're spot on. Aloha. Is it ni or nai? I'm not entirely sure. Vowels always give me a problem. I'm sorry to take away your joy, Dave and Lois, how my father is mystified by knowing that he is looking at the TV and you are in control of the iPad. How did I know you had an iPad? Chris, do you plan to be on Twitter? Yeah. Hey, Dave and Lois, tease my father too hard, and I will tease you. Okay. Chris, do you plan to be on Twitter? I am on Twitter, at Professor Slots. So, twitter.com/Professor Slots. I just don't get a lot of use out of my channel. I've got... What am I at? 13,000 followers on Twitter, and they just don't seem to be active. I'm sure it is not them. I am sure it is me. I had a little problem with 120 characters for the first little bit there, and then I went up to 140 or 240, and I could actually say something. I try to put my podcast up there. It's just meant to be personal. If I were to, be at a casino and I wanted to let the locals know that I was at that casino, I might post on Twitter. But on the other hand, I kind of have to walk through the casino to evaluate it without a crowd because the crowd sort of gets in the way of being able to hear and see and think. So I just haven't found a lot of good use out of Twitter. But I am there, and I got a crowd. So feel free to connect to me if that's the way you like to connect. I check it fairly easily. I get it pinged on my phone and all that, so it's not too bad. Okay. Thank you for subscribing to my account on Twitter, Chris. Gary, just to clarify, it's Kansas City Star Casing in Wichita, Kansas, not Kansas City Star. Oh, I'm so sorry. Kansas City Casing in Wichita, not Kansas City Star in Kansas City. Thank you. Sorry. Appreciate that. Chris, create polls in Twitter to engage followers. Yeah, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. You might have noticed how engaged I've managed to be on Facebook. I'm not sure that I actually have followers on Twitter. Um, uh, I sure 13,000 followers, but for the longest time, I was following everybody who was following, uh, a casino on Las Vegas Strip. All the casinos on Las Vegas Strip. I'd follow them, they'd follow me back. And I began to realize later that it was just people doing what I was doing. How many of those 13,000 whatever people actually uh, are interested in learning more about slots? From what I've been able to tell, that can be tough. And now I have somebody saying, "Hi, John. Thanks for sharing your wisdom. It's much appreciated." Kelly, Clio, Michigan. Clio, Michigan is the town I grew up in. If you want to head on down to the University of Michigan Flint, you will see a picture of me without any gray hair, a lot more hair, including on my top lip. And the first floor of the Murchie Science Building, and there is a Foucault pendulum in a display behind plastic sheets. It's probably still there. That came from 25, 24 years ago. Should still be there. It's an engineering display. It was my senior project as a physicist. It demonstrates the Earth's rotation. It would be swing one way when people walked from the parking lot to their classes and the rest of the campus, and it would swing another way when they came back, only it didn't. The building rotated underneath of it because the Earth turned. And I was on the evening news for that. Yeah. And I have all kinds of fun stories. That was interesting. Right. So polls. I'll remember that, Chris. Reverend Rogers, please put your mic to your mouth. Thank you. I have some interesting things going on with the mic to get that sorted. If I make it as loud as I would like to, it would saturate, and then the podcast is terrible. So, and as everybody knows, last week I went to right and left channels, so we just recently doubled the volume. Your hubby is getting suspicious because I talk about you so often. Okay. What else? Nice conversation today, John. Thanks, Steve. Take care. Yeah, so we are just a few minutes over time, and I will say, as usual, have fun, be safe, make good choices.